August 22nd, 2026. Dear Silent Me, have you ever thought that it would be easier to make moves, make plans, follow through with them if nobody knew about them? The idea or the plan would just work better with the least amount of people knowing. So, with everything going on, I find that I've been very quiet about the details of things. I have told very few people what the job entails, where it has me going. My parents don't know, despite that being one of the main factors. I haven't told people when I plan on making the changes, how I'm planning on making the changes. They're in my head. I know how I want it to happen. I have a plan and I know how I want to execute it. And I just feel like the more people who know, the more I'm going to falter in it. I think people have already counted me out and expect me to fail and give up and turn around. I think that if I let myself share the details, I'll let someone talk me out of them. So I've stayed silent. But in my silence, I've noticed things. And I don't know if that's just me being emotional or vigilant, but I've noticed things. Things that cause me pause, not necessarily concern. Things that have me picking at myself more often than they should. Things that bother me. So, it's Saturday, and in my household that means laundry. I love my routines. This morning I got a phone call at 5:30 from one of my kiddos who needed to talk. And if you know anything about me, I answered that phone call and I sat on the phone. I think I fell asleep while I was on the phone. So I'm sorry to my kiddo for that, but they knew that they needed to call and talk to somebody. I'd answer. And I did. And we were on the phone for quite some time. I asked my husband to get me a donut the night before. I called it an emotional support donut because last night was hard. Yesterday's podcast was hard. And then I got off my podcast and I distracted. And then it got harder. And it was harder to distract from it. So when it was all said and done last night, I asked for an emotional support donut. My husband said, sure, we could talk about what was going on when he was done working. And this morning, by the time he got done playing poker and went and got me a donut, I was on the phone with one of the kids. And so he came in and listened to me talk to them, and then he just kind of went to bed. We did have some things I need to take care of today, and I knew that he probably wanted to sleep, so I suggested that we push that back to tomorrow so that he could get the sleep that he needed. He said okay, and he set his alarm, and that was kind of it. He went to bed, and at some point I went back to bed. And then when I did get up, it was probably 10-ish, 11-ish, and I was ready to go. I finally felt recharged enough to get up, get moving. And so I did. Got up, went to the bathroom, started planning how I was wanting my day to go, and then my husband asked me if I was okay. And yeah, I am okay. I think he was just waiting for the bathroom, so he gets up and he goes to the bathroom, and then out of nowhere he closes the door. And while typically that act in and of itself would not bother me, today it made me emotional. And I was like, well, why'd you close the door? Well, I just want privacy. But you're just going to the bathroom. Like, I don't understand. And then I did that thing that you guys know that I do. It's where I ask questions that I shouldn't ask. And I said, am I bothering you? And he said, yeah. I said, oh. And I walked away to give him his privacy. And then when he was done, I went and took my shower. And a good portion of my shower I spent just feeling angry and upset because my husband considers me trying to interact with him, bothering him. And I realized how ridiculous that sounds. I recognized instantly he has the right to ask for privacy without it being a slight to me. But for some reason, this morning, that's how it felt. And so I continued my shower and I washed my hair and did a whole process and calmed myself down. It's not that big of a deal. You're probably making this into nothing. Great. So then me and the dogs go out to the living room and we hang out and we do our breakfast. My dogs and I have a Saturday routine where we do big breakfasts together and we just kind of chill. Until my husband gets up around 3-ish, 4-ish. But again, the day still feels like off. Something feels wrong. It's almost as if I am looking for a reason to be upset, although I do not want a reason to be upset. But there's just little things that get to me, that are bugging me. And instead of brushing them off, I am dwelling on them. Example. It is football season in my household. My husband is a huge Chiefs fan, has been since he was a little kid. And it used to be that he was very adamant about me watching with him. Oh my gosh, you have to watch with me, you have to watch with me, you have to watch with me. And I'm not the hugest football fan. Like, I'm okay with it, but it's not my go-to sport. But it was nice having him ask me to join him. So for the longest time, I teased about it and was like, well, if we had a nice spread of food, I'd be there. And that was the joke. And then this year, he hasn't seemed to care whether or not that I'm there or not. And so I asked him about it today. Like, hey, the game today. And he's like, yeah, I thought on watching it. And I said, okay, are we going to have any kind of food there? Well, no, we just have leftovers. And I was just like, well, but the deal has always been that, like, if I'm going to watch the game with you, we're going to have a nice spread. Oh, yeah, well, I was just thinking this and this, that. And I said, okay. And then I'm like, well, if you're going to go to the store, because that's what he had come to ask me about, can I just go with you? Yeah, sure, you can go along. And so we leave to go to the store, and we're walking around, and I didn't need anything. I was just going to go, just to spend the time with them. And just again, things seemed prickly. And I, just like, it's got to be me. Like, it's got to be the stress of everything going on. And he and I finished at the store, and he's supposed to go to Subway for our kid. And on the way to Subway, I went to stop at Scooters. He just seemed so agitated. And then I was just like, nope, never mind, forget it. Not in a mean, mad way, just no, you seem upset. Like, I don't want to add more stuff to you if you're already upset. He's like, well, I'm frustrated. And I said, okay, and I understand that. So no, I'll just skip the portion of my stuff that I wanted to do, which was grab a drink and get tacos. And he's like, are you okay? You seem kind of anxious. And I'm a bit anxious at this point. And he's like, I'm sorry that I made you anxious. And I'm like, you're upset and you seem angry and you're snappy. And it's just, I'm not in the headspace to deal with that. And he's like, do you want to go home? And I was like, yeah, I'd just like to go home. It's fine. And so we make plans and we go home. And We get home and the plans changed again because we weren't able to get the subway while we were out. And I suggested, like, hey, you seem to be calmer now. Would you like to try again? And so he says yes. And we try again. And this time it goes off much better. We get to the places that we need to get to. We get through. But he still feels distant. I don't know how else to describe it. And so I am just kind of waiting for this moment where, like, we tell a joke and we laugh and we interact with each other, where we enjoy interacting with each other. And it doesn't come. We get back home and I eat my lunch, and he's not really interested in eating at the time, so he doesn't. And he takes care of a few things, and he comes back out and he calls his son, and he's on the phone with him, and at that point he's not really interacting with me, so I come back to my office. And the joke has been all day long, like, oh, during the football game, I'm gonna go take a nap. Joking, because again, the idea is like, oh my gosh, I don't want to watch the game, and it's like, oh my gosh, I want you to come join me. It's been our running joke for a long time. The game started almost an hour ago, and I went out to the living room to kind of see what was going on, and he's laid there with his headphones in his ear and the game playing on his phone and pillow between his legs, and doesn't notice I walked into the room. And I wait. And I wait. And the dogs kind of like nudge at him. And they look at me. And he's just out. I'm guessing he was like half asleep or asleep. And so I come back to my office and I sit down, and again, it's this dreading feeling. It's this being alone when you're around people feeling. The idea of him getting up the time he gets up is so that he can spend time with family. Yesterday I had asked him to do something, and he was busy because he had to go to work. He plays poker online. And I said, okay. And then I was really upset about something else, and he came into my office and he saw that I was upset, and I said, well, do you want to just hang out with me? And he's like, well, I wish I could, but I have to work. And I said, yeah, okay, I understand. I wasn't expecting you to stop. And he said, I know I haven't spent a lot of time with you recently. I'm just really trying to get this off the ground so we could pay our bills. And yeah, I know. And that was kind of the end of that. And that's where it's been for the last month. And he's doing what he needs to do to get his business off the ground. It's poker, so it takes a minute. And that doesn't make me upset or bitter in the slightest. But at the same time, I feel secondary? I don't even know if secondary is a correct term, because I felt secondary to lots of things in our relationship. And I felt like I've just gotten pushed further and further down. And he's got all these things going on in his life. But that's just it. It's his life and it's my life. We don't have an our life. So, again, it's just noticing all the things and wondering if I am building them up in my head, because, mental health does that, or if I'm experiencing what I'm seeing. And I'm trying not to jump to conclusions, because it's really easy to do. It's really easy to go in just swinging and angry. And that's tiring. I don't have the mental capacity to do that today. Again, that's why I said, let's just turn around. If he was going to be upset or frustrated, I don't have the space to argue and fight today, or to listen to anybody argue and fight today. So I was just going to tap out. But it's weird to me that even with knowing the changes happening, this is still the distance while I'm sitting right here. What does that say? What does that mean? And I know that I don't have to look for a meaning in saying in everything that I do, but my brain functions when I understand things. And I don't understand it. I may never understand it. And sometimes I have to accept that I may not get the answers to questions that I have. Not everything has a neat bow in it the way that I want it to. My bite of pie today. I talked to several of my kiddos. It's really touching that I meant enough to them for them to keep in contact with me. I always hope that I have that effect on people, but I'm never certain I have that effect on people. And the fact that 3 of my kiddos called me today and was like, no, we just want to talk to you, feels really good. I love it. My kiddo at home, actually, when I picked him up last night after the podcast, we were meeting his friends, or I was picking him up while he was with his friends. I was like, oh, this is my mom. And he said it jokingly, but like just hearing that felt so good and reassuring. So my bite of pie have been my kiddos. Like, the interactions with them have been top notch in the last 24 hours. And I mean, I got my laundry done, which to others isn't that big of a deal, but for me, there's something satisfying about finishing my laundry and putting it all away. Yes, it's weird. I get that. I just like doing laundry. It's one of those OCD Virgo things that I will never understand, but I will always like to do. And that's my bite of pie today, of realizing that not everything comes in a tiny little box, gift wrapped with bows on top of it. I don't always have the answers to everything that I want to have the answers to. Such is life. I hope that your day is going great. It's pretty sunny here. It was raining earlier. I love the rain. I'm kind of sad that the sun's out now, but I'll take it. And I hope that wherever you are, you're not just staying silent. That you're letting people see you. You're not hiding away. Because while I'm not hiding, I know that what I'm doing also isn't the healthiest. I just don't know where to go from there. So instead of just staying completely silent, I share my journal. And for those who listen to my journal, they know what I'm doing. They hear me. They see me. They love me and care. And for those of you who don't know me personally and still show up, I appreciate you a lot. It's nice to know that there are people out there who understand that they're going through similar things. I hate that you guys are suffering through some of the mental angst that I'm going through. But I'm thankful that we're not alone. So, just remember, today is another page in the story. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be written. And before you close your journal tonight, ask yourself, what was your bite of pie today? Until tomorrow, love you loud.